This lesson is on the writing traits and the basic qualities of good writing. Your lesson objectives are as follows. By the end of the lesson, you will be able to list and define the 7 traits of good writing, explain how each trait helps writers achieve their goals, understand how to use a rubric to check for the use of writing traits in a sample of writing, and use the 7 traits of good writing when drafting your own work. Make sure you pause your video and write your objectives down in your notes. Your keywords for today are 7 traits of good writing, including ideas, organization, voice, word choice, sentence fluency, conventions, and presentation, as well as rubrics. Again, pause your video and make sure you put your keywords down in your notes. So, the writing traits are a little bit like the elements of a picture. We have ideas, organization, voice, word choice, sentence fluency, conventions, and presentation. And all of these qualities are the basic qualities you would find in a well-written piece of writing. Using these traits helps a writer plan and develop their writing and gives them a framework to follow, as well as criteria to evaluate and revise their work on. Every piece of writing should have all 7 traits, but these 7 traits may look different from genre to genre. Make sure you pause your video and write down that writing traits are the basic qualities of good writing. We're going to focus on ideas for a minute. Ideas are your foundational piece in your picture because they are the main idea and all the supporting details that build that idea. This helps writers to find a topic, focus that topic, and develop the topic. We also have to use details here. Pause your video and write down that ideas are the piece's content or the main idea and how they help you find, focus, and develop a topic, as well as use details. Organization gives the piece internal structure. It's a thread of logic and a pattern that gives meaning to the words that you are using. This helps writers to create a lead, use sequence words and transition words, and structure the body, as well as end with a sense of resolution. Pause your video and write down that organization is the internal structure and logical order of a piece. Voice is the way an author uses their own personality in their writing and works together with the purpose and their audience to develop their idea. This is the tone and tenor, personal stamp side of a piece. And this helps a writer to establish a tone, convey their purpose, and create a connection to the audience, as well as to take a few risks to create voice. This doesn't mean you completely ignore and break all the rules, but it does mean that you don't sound like a dictionary or a textbook when you're writing. Pause your video and write down that voice is the personality an author shows through their writing. Which brings us to word choice. This is the vocabulary the writer uses to convey meaning and inform the reader. Strong, precise language can help build a message and captivate an audience. It helps writers to apply strong verbs, select striking words and phrases, and use specific and accurate words. It also means that they're choosing words that deepen the meaning of their text. Write down in your notes that word choice is the vocabulary the writer uses. Sentence fluency is the way words and phrases flow throughout the text. We read for it with the ear as much as the eye, and we're looking for how well things sound like they fit together as much as they follow the rules. This helps readers to craft well-built sentences, vary their sentence types, capture smooth rhythmic flow in their writing, and break rules to create fluency. This is not, again, permission to use run-ons and fragment sentences wherever you want, but the ability to use those 2 rule breaks to create some sort of rhythm inside your piece as long as it builds meaning. Pause your video and write down that sentence fluency is the way words and phrases flow together. Last of the actual writing portions is your convention. And this is the mechanical correctness, so whether or not you use correct spelling, capitalization, punctuation, etc. And this guides the readers through the text and makes it easy for them to follow. This helps readers to check their spelling, punctuate and paragraph effectively, capitalize correctly, and apply grammar and usage, because all of these things build meaning. Pause your video and write down that conventions is the mechanical correctness of a piece. And last, we have presentation, which is the physical appearance of a text, whether or not it's formatted into paragraphs, stanzas, using MLA, etc. Then it gives a visual appearance of organization that supports the idea. This helps writers to meet the requirements of the genre and helps the reader follow the text. It also supports the voice of the piece. So pause and write down that presentation is the physical appearance or formatting of a text. Once we know what these traits look like, we can use rubrics to assess our accomplishments in these areas. And rubrics are a graphic organizer that communicates the expectations for an assignment and gives a way for feedback through a digital or numerical scale. Students can use them to plan their own work because you have the rubric ahead of time, so you know what your teacher is expecting. You can use it to double check your own writing by assessing how well you believe you've met these requirements. And you can use them to help offer peer feedback, using them to assess how well you think a classmate or friend has used these traits. Finally, you can use them to revise your own work based on teacher feedback, because sometimes our ideas will or will not line up. This is an example of a rubric for the trait of ideas. You notice first off that they break them into 3 different categories: high, middle, and low, and each of those categories has 2 numbers. The lowest score you can get on anything is 1, where you're just getting started and there's really not any evidence of this trait in your writing. 2 means there's starting to be a little bit of evidence, but not much. When we get middle, we're seeing some progress, but clearly we're still lacking some expertise. And 4, we're starting to see a higher level of proficiency in this skill area. To get a high, you have mastered this and there's very little error. This helps us, again, see where it is. You can also notice that each of these categories give a general description and then bullet point details that somebody should see. We can use all of these to assess traits in a piece of writing. So pause your video and write down that a rubric is a graphic organizer that tells people what to expect, and that they can be used to plan your work, double check your work, and help give feedback and use feedback. We talked about this a little bit on the last one, but if you were to read through this piece, review the piece and the rubric, you would be able to go through and assign a score. So I would like you to kind of read through this video or this piece and try and assign it a score, and we're going to talk about it in class when we do this exercise together again. Ultimately, I would like you guys to remember that writing traits and rubrics help writers plan and develop their work and to produce quality pieces that clearly express a strong central message. Also, don't forget your practice. There's a Writing Traits Go formative. You should have seen it when you opened this video to begin with. Get that done, and don't forget to click Turn In to get your credit.